Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to Comic Book Nostalgia. I'm CB Nostalgia, and we have a review of the latest episode of Young Justice. Well, we just got our 21st episode of Young Justice Phantoms entitled Odyssey of Death, and it was named that for a reason. We actually got the conclusion of the Rocket arc, and with that, a couple of surprises, and obviously the demise of a DC character that we really were not expecting, but has been foreshadowed. Let's take a couple minutes to dive into this episode, do a full recap, and talk about what happened. Now, before we do this though, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button, and ring the bell for all the updates. Also, our big giveaway. We got this Oculus Quest 2 to give away at 50,000 subscribers. All you need to do to get in on our giveaway is be a subscriber and leave us a comment. Well, we just got the 21st episode of Young Justice Phantoms and the final episode in Rocket's arc entitled Odyssey of Death. And there is a pretty good reason for this. Now, before we dive into the full review and recap, I wanted to remind everybody to make sure you're using that Save Earth 16, Renew Young Justice, and Young Justice Season 5 hashtags on all social media. The show hasn't been renewed yet, and if we want another season, we're gonna have to make it happen again. Now, this week's episode had lots of stuff going on multiple fronts. And we open the primary story with a check-in on the Legion members, who, along with Bart on the Cosmic Treadmill, are headed to New Genesis in the Bioship with a plan to destroy the Phantom Zone projector to stop Lor-Zod. Now, as many of you know, Lor-Zod and his crew escaped the vault last week, but the Time Sphere is actually damaged beyond repair, leaving them stranded on New Genesis in the current timeline. They have to act quickly because Rocket, Orion, and the rest of their crew are in hot pursuit. But fortunately for them, the Phantom Zone projector has been obtained and now it just needs to be recharged. Now, Metron is able to track the Time Sphere, but they don't encounter Zod's team. And at this point, Metron finally breaks down what the big issue is with the Phantom Zone projector. He reveals that Lor-Zod intends on releasing a sizable number of Kryptonians from the zone, and they could literally take over the galaxy. But he has to recharge the projector, and on New Genesis, there are limited spots this could be done. They are in a race to find a projector before it can be recharged. Now, at this point, the heroes break into individual teams, and we follow Rocket, Orion, Jay Garrick, and the Foragers, along with Tomar Ray, to an area on New Genesis known as the Boiling Lake Crater. And this is where we encounter Lor-Zod and his group of villains. Now, this is a battle on multiple fronts, so we're going to look at it from each front and break each one of them down. Now first, Tomar and Lor-Zod have at it, and the battle is actually pretty epic. Now, they actually release so much energy they awaken a Promethean. And the battle is actually pressed by the fact that the Phantom Zone projector has not only been recharged, but is opening a portal and actually drawing out General Zod. Now, during the battle, the Promethean begins to erupt, potentially destroying the whole planet, forcing Tomar Ray to contain it and ignore Lor-Zod to save New Genesis. He has been here before, and feels like he failed Krypton and won't do it again. Now, during this conflict, he is forced to decide between funneling the energy off from the Promethean or shielding himself from Lor-Zod's heat vision. Being the hero that Tomar Ray is, he chooses to save New Genesis, and this actually allows Lor-Zod to fire his heat vision right through his chest, killing Tomar Ray just as he manages to divert the blast and save New Genesis. When we say Odyssey of Death, this is exactly what we mean. Now, the Foragers actually battle Mantis, but during the battle, Blue Forager quickly breaks away to help Jay Garrick, who has been immobilized by the Kaiser Whelm. Now, Blue Forager is successful, and once Jay is free, he deals with a portal from the Phantom Zone. He actually creates a whirlwind, which pushes some reverse pressure through the portal, preventing Zod from passing through the portal. Now, on the other side of the portal, Connor is actually hanging on to Zod, ironically meaning if he had come through the portal, he would have probably brought Connor Kent with him and brought a lot of happiness to many of us fans. Now, our Forager is able to defeat Mantis, and he has an interesting line referencing the training that he received from Nightwing. Once he does this, he returns to help the other Forager, but both of them are immediately zapped by the Kaiser Whelm, leaving them in that same state of stasis as affected Metron last week, basically reeling in pain. Now, at this point, it appears all is lost, but this happens right after the death of Tomar Ray, and the ring actually arrives, making Hill Forager of New Genesis a Green Lantern. That's right, the universe of Earth 16 has a new Green Lantern, and it is a Forager. Now, Rocket and Orion's encounter with Mccomb is the moment that we've been waiting for and teased all season. Obviously, it is a mental battle, and this battle forces Rocket to actually face and see Orion. She sees him for who he really is, seeing the real him there, the person inside, and where the anger comes from and who he really is. This is really emotional because it replays the events of earlier in the arc where she had Orion trapped. Once she sees the real Orion, this allows both of them to break the mental game that Mccomb is playing and allows Orion to zap the Martian, freeing them both from his hold. Now, when they break free, this is shortly after the killing of Tomar-Ray, and Orion goes on the attack. Rocket contains Lorzod, and quite honestly, Orion delivers a beatdown that was the most enjoyable part of the episode. This battle inside of Rocket's bubble does last for a couple of minutes, but it's not permanent. Now, while this is going on, there's a lot of other stuff happening. Because Jay Garrick is using the whirlwind to prevent General Zod from leaving, and Connor is holding on to him, the General actually realizes that Connor was not put there by the projector, and he isn't a Kryptonian villain. Now, at this point, the Legion, along with Bart, arrive on the scene, and they actually destroy the Phantom projector. Now, this does leave the General and Connor trapped inside, but one cool aspect of this is Saturn Girl does seem to awaken Phantom Girl before this portal closes. This should make for some interesting storytelling next week, and I suspect Phantom Girl might be able to remove both of them from the Phantom Zone, but we'll have to see what happens with Zod's followers. Now, upon losing the projector and his father, Lorzod goes into a rage and manages to escape Orion and Rocket's bubble. At this point, he crashes into the bioship and immediately takes Saturn Girl hostage. Once he has her hostage, he forces the team to help him and the rest of his team escape New Genesis, flying off into space for the next chapter. Now, after the battle is over, there's a lot of grief for Tomar-Ray. You have to admit, his death was noble, and sacrificing himself to save New Genesis was truly a hero's death. Now, during the wrap-up, we also get a very touching scene between Rocket and Orion. Orion actually thanks Rocket for seeing him who he is. This was a really heartfelt scene and was a catalyst for her to help understand her own son. Now, I'm not gonna lie, it was a bit sappy, but it was a well-earned ending for Rocket and quite honestly connected her to her son, which was really the point of the whole arc. Now, the Forager relationship continued to grow in this episode, and it was kind of cute, but the Hill Forager is now a Green Lantern and she must go to Oa for some training. Early in the episode, there seemed to be some plans for both of them to return to Earth, and it was really sweet to see the relationship develop, but obviously that's not going to happen now. Assuming we get a Season 5, I'm sure we're going to see Green Lantern Forager again. Now, there was one other big thing. The magicians are back in this episode. We actually opened the whole episode with Madame Xanadu helping to look for Connor's soul, but we all know why she couldn't find it. Now, after failing to contact Connor again, she reaches out to Zatanna to give a status update, and we do get a great scene of a helmet exchange between her and her father. The passing of the mantle of Dr. Fate seems to be working well. Now, this ultimately leads to that scene we saw in the trailer where the group of mages are at the Tower of Fate ringing that bell. In this scene, they're actually looking for Connor Kent, and once again, they do not find him. At this point, Zatanna realizes he might not actually be dead, and if he's not dead, she needs help. What she needs is a detective. Cue Dick Grayson. Now, overall, I thought this was a pretty great episode. The action was solid, Tomar-Ray's sacrifice worked, and the connection between Orion and Rocket was really emotional. The voice cast and the animation once again delivered really well, and I totally enjoyed my time in Supertown. I'm going to give this episode an 8.5 out of 10. Another great episode of Young Justice Phantoms, and I really can't wait to see where the story continues in the Nightwing arc for the final 5 episodes. Again, guys, make sure you use your Save Earth 16 and Renew Young Justice hashtags. It's a big deal. We need to show renewed so we get more of our favorite animated series ever. But until then, what did you guys think? How did you feel about the death of Tomar-Ray in this episode of Young Justice? And do you feel like the Ring chose its next candidate appropriately? I have to say, I was a bit surprised, but I'm interested in seeing where it goes. Sound off in the comments below. If you like this video, make sure you hit like, click subscribe, and if you don't ring that bell, you'll not get any updates. Peace.